I'm Halcyon, and welcome to the Hug Nation broadcast. Today I want to talk about, can you trust a conscious person? And that, I guess, needs to begin with the conversation about what is a conscious person. And maybe that is not a vocabulary term that is a part of your world. There is a conscious community that I am a part of or sometimes overlap with. And I would guess that it is a combination of people who have gone through elements of personal growth. Often there is some ayahuasca ceremonies in the history, maybe some Burning Man experiences, some veganism, really conscious, kind of breaking through the societal expectations and status quo of the shoulds of capitalist world and becoming clear about one's own path through trainings or crystals or psychedelics. And so on the other side of these awakening experiences, there is a desire to congregate with like-minded community. I tend to self-identify more as a burner because there's something about the 10 principles and the radical inclusion of that seems to have a more breadth. There's more variety that all, I think, falls in line with what I respond to, which is that community of support, that community of recognizing that whatever you are and however you express, if you do it authentically, it is a beautiful thing and it's what the world needs. And I think that's part of the conscious community. But the conscious community, in my observation, has elements that feel a little bit more like there is some definitions of what is and isn't acceptable. For example, being a carnivore is looked down upon and judged. If you admit to bacon eating as a burner, that's hardly a confession. It's more of an entrance requirement. So, but as people become awakened, often they narrow into what they see as to be the correct path. I would argue that narrowing is an example and an evidence that you still have a long way to go on that path. There is a instinct when you recongregate with your community to lower your barriers and be more accepting and trusting because you are your family. Sometimes you feel closer to people that have this shared set of values than you do towards your biological family, maybe friends that you've had for your whole life, and suddenly you find people that resonate in this way. But because someone resonates with veganism doesn't necessarily mean that they are absolutely in line with the same values that you are, or that they are leading a righteous life and are dedicated to honesty and authenticity and communication. They may even think that they are all these beautiful, wonderful, enlightened, Christ-like things. And yet, because each of us is a human being and we are flawed in many ways, even as we grow and grow and grow, we are constantly dipping into our shadows, into our struggles, into our weaknesses and our insecurities. And those manifest in all sorts of ways. And I may manifest not in I manifested a car because I'm visualizing it. Manifesting it mean like, you eat a bunch of sugar, that manifests as fat. And the things inside us, they come out in different behaviors and beliefs and the way we treat one another. There is this tendency that when you believe that you are evolved, regardless of how evolved you actually are, because everybody is on a journey, but when you start to think that you're evolved, which is a dangerous symptom of people who are new to this path, where you go, I'm so enlightened now, I now need to teach and I need to tell other people how to live, which is problematic. Again, that's not what I wanted to get into. I wanted to get into what happens within this circle of trust. We sometimes lose the ability to discern and to question and to be smart about information that we receive. Especially because when you have gone through a whole process of breaking down your socialization and all these beliefs that are part of the culture that you realize this isn't true. The church taught me this, that isn't true. The government taught me this, that isn't true. And then you go, all truths are questionable. And I trust this person who, wears all white and doesn't cut their hair and is awesome at yoga. Therefore, they must clearly know truth about, the human body and medicine in ways that I could never trust a traditional doctor. Not saying you should trust a traditional doctor. You should have discernment. Way back when I was in college, as I was getting ready to graduate, graduated in psychology, and I was looking into going to I think it was Neruda Institute or something. It was like an alternative psychology place. And my advisor, Fred Rabinowitz, love you, he said, hey, this is awesome that you're being open to all these kind of alternative modalities and therapies and kind of woo-woo-y ideas. But let me just leave you with this wisdom, which is that once you cross the line out of the accepted truths of the culture, you have to really show, mental hygiene and discernment. Because while you will meet people who are magic, that have tapped into things that cannot be explained with science, you will also meet charlatans. And so you really have to be careful and not just trust anyone that says, I have a cure for this. It gets complicated because, we know that if you believe something can heal you, it can. Here's the challenge too. Like, you either are going to totally agree with me or you're going to think you are a sheeple and you're, because we all have confirmation bias. We all see evidence for what we already believe. And if I tell you, hey, you know what, I am in favor of vaccination, and I think, sure, there needs to be testing, and maybe not all vaccinations are required for all people, but the concept of vaccinations is a really awesome one for the reducing of suffering for humanity. And if you believe that, then you're going to go, duh, of course. You tell them, Halcyon. And if you don't believe that, you're going to go, I have 50 articles and 100 YouTube videos that as soon as you watch them, you will change your mind. But that's not even the area that I really want to get into today, which is there is a resurgence in the conscious community right now for financial schemes, Ponzi schemes, pyramid schemes. They circled around, 8, 9, 10 years ago. And at the time, they were really focused on women, young spiritual women. They were called like women's gifting circles. And they were Ponzi schemes. They were a pyramid, meaning you come in, you pay a certain amount of money, like $1,000, and then you bring in people to be at the next level, and they use flowery language and call them gifts and wisdom offerings or whatever. And then you bring in some people, and then the people in the downline, eventually you get up to the payment level and you receive 20 grand. And as long as you keep adding people to the pyramid, it works. There's a ton of YouTube videos that explain how this is a problem, because math. Very quickly, within 15 jumps, it becomes like the population of the United States, and everyone has to be involved. You might know someone, you might be a person who has reaped money, but you are doing so at the expense of somebody getting screwed. And the problem is, once you're in it and oh crap, this isn't going to work, if you say something, you've eliminated any chance of getting your money back. You have to keep playing, you have to keep recruiting, you have to keep bringing people in if you're ever going to make your money back. And I don't even believe that everybody in them is devious and malicious. I met a woman recently who she made a living through gifting circles, and she was involved with many of them. And she was very love and light, and she believed that, she manifests resources. And while I have this deep admiration for that kind of trust in the universe, I couldn't help but say, do you understand, though, how this manifesting of abundance mathematically means that you're taking from somebody, right? You did not co-create abundance. You moved resources from one place to you, right? You get that, right? They have different names. They're called like gifting circles, gifting mandalas, blessing loom. And one of the things that is a part of these systems is that they often make it very inclusionary, and they caution you or demand that you don't talk about it with people outside the group. Years ago, I had a girlfriend that was invited to join a women's gifting circle, and they said, you cannot talk about this with your partner. You can't talk about it with any men, your father. You can't talk about it with men. It's for women only. They were preying on her inexperience with budgeting and with money, and were preying on her trust and her desire for community. And by saying you're not allowed to say this to anybody else, it didn't let her get a second set of eyes to like break the spell of it. Now, luckily, she did break the rules and tell me about this thing that she had been invited to. Now, she had friends that had made a huge amount of money, who then had to kind of disappear and become disconnected from the community because other people in the community got the money they needed to feed their kids. They invested in these circles, and then it vanished. Meanwhile, other women were taken off to Bali for years at a time. So there's so much in it that is built to scam people, built to prey on our desires, our desire to trust. And that is the real challenge with an unexamined conscious community. This perception that if someone else is in it, they are evolved, they are loving, they are connected. They would never do something that would hurt me as a brother and a sister. Maybe they don't even know they're doing it to hurt me as a brother and a sister. Maybe they're telling me a theory about how 5G is the cause of the coronavirus and all of this suffering is a plot by the government. And they're telling me this out of love. And they want to wake me up so that I stop being a sheep. And while I admit the power structures of the world are not to be trusted, I also don't believe that the power structures of the world or the individuals in charge have the means to execute mass conspiracies. I think they have the ability to capitalize on disaster, absolutely. But to craft these crazy things, I don't think it's true. And I don't believe that it is a service to your brothers and sisters to force them to wake up, wake up. I have lost friendships over this. I've had to block people over this. There is something about the desire to make sense of a confusing world that is very tempting. To say, oh, there is an evil puppeteer, there is a bad guy. Yeah, that is soothing. But that doesn't mean it's true. There's another, oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. Sorry, lost my train of thought. Maybe it's because the 5G is already affecting my brain. I, like many people, have a distrust for the government. I had a beautiful experience, though, when I visited Washington, D.C. a few years ago to go to Catharsis, the regional burn there, and had visits with a number of my friends that work in government. I got to tour buildings and meet people that are public servants. And who I met were patriots, were people who had dedicated their lives in service to the people of their country. Washington, D.C. is kind of like the Hollywood of public office and people who are called to be of service. If you're like, the best and most handsome actor person in your high school, you go out west to Hollywood and try to make it. If you feel the most called to make a difference in the world, you go to D.C. and you try to help the world. And I just cannot fathom that people who are called to help the world would, upon getting to Washington, D.C., go, okay, actually, I'm on board with this mass conspiracy to eradicate the population. Or doctors, people who spend so much of their energy in their life trying to help people make a difference, even with all of the bullshit of the industries, whether it's politics or medicine or Hollywood. Yes, it's ugly, it's manipulative, it's all those things. But still, I just don't believe that human beings who are called to be service driven then decide that they are going to be a part of a mass conspiracy to cause suffering and harm in the world. That's my bias. I don't mean to push it down your throat, but if you come at me and say you have to accept that everyone is out to get you, especially these people, I'm going to say I need to do more research. And by research, I mean trying to be open to the ideas that you're telling me and trying to talk to people who have dedicated their lives to these pursuits with the understanding that they have a filter that they are going through, and hopefully come to a place where I go, okay, what can I land in a place that I can live with this awareness? And that comes to the final thought about all of this, which is that Eckhart Tolle in The Power of Now talks about the importance of living from the present moment. And in the Q&A, someone was really confrontational and was like, what are you talking about? I can't live in the now. I've got bills to pay. I've got so much things that I have to be worried about. I got to be checking in with the future constantly. And like right now, you can say, I can't be living in the present moment. I can't appreciate the beauty of this day or the sunset or this music. I have to be thinking about this agenda. I have to be thinking about this conspiracy. I have to be thinking about all of the poison that's happening. Eckhart Tolle would say, well, in the default choice of living is to live almost our entire lives in the future or in the past. In the future, worry and concern, or in the past, regret and shame. And occasionally, we take these visits to the present moment. We meditate, or we rock climb, or we have sex. And in these momentary experiences, we are present. And then we return to the thoughts and the what ifs. And he says, just shift that percentage is what we're trying to do. We're trying to live most of our life in the present moment and then visit the future. Visit the idea of a grand conspiracy. And from that place, and analyze, is there things I can do in the present moment right now that would aid this? Is there something I can do? Like, I have a bill to pay. Oh, that means in the present moment, I could go work. I could do some hustle. Excellent. Okay, return to the present moment. Be present with this task, which has knowledge from the future, but be present with it. And I think the same has to be done with ideas about the virus and the what ifs and the economic situation. Don't put your head in the sand and pretend none of this is possible. Everything's perfect, blah, 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 blah. Train yourself to visit, analyze, what do I bring back to the present moment? And then return to this amazing gift of being alive, being conscious, remembering the connections that we have. And in this limited life that we have right now, where there's so much of what we did have is now been removed, the power of connection, the power of our personal truth, the importance of figuring out who we are is paramount. The world becomes secondary. We just figure out who we are in response to this world. And that, I think, is the path to being a conscious person. Being in integrity with our truth and constantly checking in on what that is and acting from that place of righteousness. And learning. I know that when the obstacles pop up, and sides of ourself show up, we got to recognize that we are all on the path. The conscious person is on the path. There is no evolution result. There is no finish line. There's just this humble process of being a human being. So thank you for letting me be a human being. And thank you for you being you. what a gift to share this path with you. I love you. Every day, twice a day, we are gathering in digital spaces like this, gathering with the power of intention and having a group hug. At 12 and 6 p.m. Pacific at zoom.hugnation.com. We are gathering. It has been beautiful. It has been so profound. It has been affirming all these ideas of connection and such. So let's do it now. Wherever you are, grab yourself by the shoulders. And as you feel this body, imagine it's mine. Feel the heat, the solidness of this body. And you're hugging me. And you're hugging everyone in your life that you may have been seeing in Zoom calls or talking on the phone. Feel them. And as those arms are squeezing you, imagine they're my arms and all the people that you've connected with in digital ways and physical ways and in your thoughts. And just for 3 breaths, let's feel connected to them, remembering that it doesn't matter where your feet are at. It matters where your heart is at. And we can visit the present moment so clearly that we feel the oneness, we feel the connection. So let's do that for 3 breaths. In through the nose. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb, Larry Harvey, and all the love warriors, happy Hug Nation. I love you. Thank you for listening, and to our reptilian overlords, my apologies. If you want to check in and connect and have a group hug every day, noon and 6 p.m. Pacific at zoom.hugnation.com. If you want to support me on Patreon, patreon.com/halcyon, and you can help me do my work in the world, including giving to local houseless, like I was able to do with Olivia this week. So thank you for your help and your support.